Welcome into Full Throttle, the Presidio Group's automotive industry podcast. I'm your host, Jason Stein, Managing Director at Presidio.
I think one of GM's great strengths, even a superpower of ours, is this adaptability, the ability to look at huge changes in the environment and respond to them with great speed and great effectiveness. And I think we can look back over the last several years, which have been maybe the most turbulent in the whole industry's existence, whether it started with, for GM, there was a strike which interrupted supply back in 19, then there was the COVID, then there was a chip crisis, then there was tariffs, then there was EV tax credits, all these things which just create super volatility and changes in customer demand as well. This has really been a period of time where GM has really shone and won through in the marketplace. I think our adaptability, especially for such a big company, is just outstanding, and we've proven it time and time again. And that's why last year in the US was our highest market share for 10 years, in Canada, highest market share for 15 years.
Today, we're joined by one of the industry's most experienced global operators, a leader who has spent decades navigating some of the most transformational periods in the modern automotive business. Duncan Aldred is president of North America for General Motors, overseeing Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac across one of the most dynamic and competitive regions in the world. And there may not be a more fascinating moment to be running North America for General Motors than right now. The industry is balancing multiple realities simultaneously: a slower than expected EV adoption curve, massive investment in software-defined vehicles and connected services, continued strength in trucks and SUVs, and a regulatory and political environment that seems to shift by the month. At the same time, GM is launching next-generation combustion products, scaling Super Cruise, expanding its EV portfolio, investing heavily in connected ecosystems, and preparing Cadillac's highly anticipated entry into Formula One racing, which is now fully underway. In this conversation, Duncan talks candidly about the balancing act required to manage propulsion diversity, why adaptability has become one of GM's greatest competitive advantages, and how the company is responding to a market that continues to evolve in real time. And yes, we also spend time talking about the new Corvette ZR1 X, a vehicle Duncan describes as unlike almost anything he's ever driven. Duncan Aldred joins me next on Full Throttle. Welcome in, Duncan.
Thanks very much. Always a pleasure to be with you, Jason. Great to be here.
Great to be with you. You are running, overseeing one of the most diverse product portfolios in the global auto industry. There is talk of electrification. There is talk of product dynamic that's changing, software-defined vehicles. How do you characterize this moment in the industry?
Well, there's an awful lot there in that question, and everything that you referenced is absolutely relevant in today's industry and to our customers, not only right now here today, but in terms of the future product programs that we've got coming up as well. Talking about today, right here, right now, I oversee and run the four General Motors brands across North America: Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, and GMC. Great portfolio of vehicles, and first of all, talking about propulsion systems, a really great diverse set of propulsion systems. On the combustion engine side, anything from 3-cylinder and 4-cylinder engines which turbocharge, producing great performance but great fuel economy as well, through to what everyone knows General Motors for, the great V8s, and then of course we've also got the broadest range of electric vehicles in the industry across Chevrolet, Cadillac, and GMC. Everything from a Chevrolet Equinox EV. We're just launching the Bolt EV, which is our most affordable electric vehicle, under $30,000 starting price, right up through to the Hummer electric vehicles you can get in GMC, and then really the pinnacle of our range, the Escalade IQ, which is the electric version of the Escalade. So we've got a really broad portfolio of propulsion systems across all of our brands. But you also mentioned connected vehicles, software-enabled vehicles, and that's a key part of our strategy, not only today, but going into the future. We've got an amazingly successful OnStar business. That is our connected services brand. And again, we've got 12 million subscribers worldwide. It's a key part of our business, and it's just set to grow as we go forward. We've also got our autonomous product, Super Cruise, which is hands-free driving. We've got 600,000 users of that product. By the end of this year, it will be 1 million. And again, this just drives great value for money for the customer, a great experience, and it's a real core part of our strategy as we go forward.
So much to consider when you think of the industry these days, and very different than what you probably had to consider when you were starting out. Is this, as you step back and take a look at some of the things that you just ticked off, all of them significant, all of them revolutionary, but is this a more evolutionary time in the business from a consumer standpoint than a revolutionary time?
Yeah, I don't know about that. And again, you reference, maybe it's more complex than previously. I don't know. You and I knew each other in Europe, and the complexity across 30 markets in Europe, many of which had different emission standards and regulations, driving to diesel solutions, 3-cylinder solutions, was pretty incredible. What we're finding now is, I think, a transitionary period again. We all know that the industry and the regulation was really driving for a really quite fast adoption of electric vehicles. A lot of those regulations have changed or been eased recently. So it is causing General Motors and the industry to pivot, to do things like increase our capability to build combustion engines, because we predicted that the mix of vehicles, the mix of propulsion would change. Whilst still leaving electric vehicles as our North Star, still maintaining that amazing portfolio of vehicles that I mentioned, but just the quantities that we're talking about are going to change over the short and maybe even medium term. So a lot of investment into capacity on our combustion engine vehicles in order that we can satisfy the demand of our consumers, while still driving those electric vehicles forward and still continuing to invest in future battery technology to bring down the cost, but also ensure that the range and the driving characteristics remain best in industry. So it is a transitional phase, but again, another exciting part of what this industry is.
Indeed, an exciting part, and indeed lots to deal with. Let's get through some of the things that you just mentioned. So EV adoption, electrification, one of the biggest shifts of this era. We've had so many people in this program talking about it from both a consumer standpoint and a business leadership standpoint. What's your current read on EV adoption based on real consumer behavior right now, Duncan?
Yeah, so last year again was a volatile year. There was a $7,500 EV tax credit, which had various qualification factors, but by and large, certainly for General Motors, that was available to most of our customers, either by purchase or lease. And that was in place, and it was there to try and drive EV adoption. That went away at the end of September, so that money went away. What it did do was create a rush into electric vehicles towards the end of September date, and then it did create a fall off afterward, just a retiming of that demand. So I think we're just in the period now where we're saying, okay, so what is that real level of demand? I personally think March will be a key month for that, but what we're seeing January and February so far is that the EV percentage of industry is running around 6.5%. So that's what we're seeing. It peaked closer to 10 last year, especially in that pull ahead period. And what we expect to see from here is that it probably will continue to gradually increase in the absence of any stimulus or government support. We think technology adoption, new technology, maybe some price coming down as well, will increase adoption over the next several years, but clearly at a slower pace than was previously envisaged. I mentioned any kind of stimulus. There are still certain levels of stimulus in place, whether it could be on a state level. There's discussions taking place in California, for example, to put a stimulus behind electric vehicles. In Canada, they've just announced the reinstatement of a subsidy as well for electric vehicles as well. So we're still seeing signs of this, and of course that will speed up adoption. But yeah, I think what we're looking at now is 6 to 7% range in the near term, and then gradually growing up towards the end of the decade.
It's difficult to do product plans. You and I have discussed this when you get such a whipsaw back and forth, not only from a political slash tariff standpoint, okay, but also from a regulatory standpoint. I can only imagine the enormous set of scenarios and or future casting that you try to do amidst all of that chaos. It has to be complicated.
Oh, it's super complicated. I'd say on the good news, I think one of GM's great strengths, even a superpower of ours, is this adaptability, the ability to look at huge changes in the environment and respond to them with great speed and great effectiveness. And I think we can look back over the last several years, which have been maybe the most turbulent in the whole industry's existence, whether it started with, for GM, there was a strike which interrupted supply back in 19, then there was the COVID, then there was a chip crisis, then there was tariffs, then there was EV tax credits, all these things which just create super volatility and changes in customer demand as well. This has really been a period of time where GM has really shone and won through in the marketplace. I think our adaptability, especially for such a big company, is just outstanding, and we've proven it time and time again. And that's why last year in the US was our highest market share for 10 years, in Canada highest market share for 15 years. Financial results are excellent as well. And again, I think it's just because of the ability for GM to flex and pivot. One of the things that we're doing right now is we've announced a series of manufacturing investments, again, an investment into propulsion systems, powertrains, into essentially gasoline production. So that's happening in Tonawanda, and that'll be on stream over the next year or so. We've also announced additional capacity on some of our best-selling combustion engine vehicles as well, whether it be the full-size utilities or the compact SUVs, where quite honestly we've been at maximum capacity, and now with the changing landscape, we know we have to increase that capacity so we can meet that market demand. So these are huge investments, and these are things that take time to do, but really from the change in regulations, that pivot, we've probably executed it within just over 12 months, which is quite remarkable, I think, when you're talking about capital investment and everything that goes behind expanding vehicle production or engine production. So it is complicated, but again, I think GM have just proven time and time again, it is a superpower of ours to be this flexible, this adaptive, and really keep winning in the marketplace.
I would argue that you have a superpower yourself, and the adaptability and the opportunity to seek challenges and change. And the audience wouldn't know, but you and I go back some 15 years or so when I handed you what was then known as a Rising Star Award in Europe. But prior to that, in 1990, you began your career at the Ellesmere Port Plant. You were a student in this industry, quite literally, at the beginning. And do I have it right that it was the factory floor that trained you for much of this?
Yeah, it's very close. As you say, I grew up in northwest England. I did my business degree in Liverpool, and part of that, it was a 4-year degree. 1 year you had to actually do an internship and go and work in business. General Motors had a manufacturing location very close to Liverpool. I was lucky enough to get a role there. It wasn't quite on the factory floor. It was actually in the offices within the trim and car final assembly area. But I did have to go out on the factory floor. I was doing a lot of quality analysis, statistical analysis, and so I was walking the floor and really doing a lot of that. So yeah, that's how I started. I went back to General Motors near London, to our headquarters in the UK. It was the Vauxhall brand over there. Started my career in sales and marketing, and one that took me to run 10 countries out of Budapest in Hungary, running all of Southeast Europe for the Opel brand and the Chevrolet brand, and then to our head offices in Frankfurt in Germany, running our sales operations. Back to the UK as chairman and managing director of Vauxhall. And again, the UK was a similar type business to what we see in Canada. 2 manufacturing plants, an engineering centre, proving ground, after sales warehousing about 300,000 a year sales, but 13% market share. So it was a big business. And then before I came here, I was running the whole European business as well as the UK business. And then I was lucky enough to come over here running the Buick and GMC brands globally before coming into my role as president of North America. So yeah, it does require some adaptability and the ability to learn. I mentioned it before, Europe is an unbelievably complex environment to work within, so it's a great learning experience for anybody in the industry. And a lot of the lessons I learned there I could bring over here and apply here, whether it be now across North America or previously across the global markets I was responsible for. But yeah, it just underscores really amazing industry, dynamic industry, and General Motors is an amazing global business that's been a great place to work.
When you were a student at Cannon Slade High School, was the car business your most immediate path? Is that? I mean, was it written in the stars?
I wanted to get into business. I absolutely wanted to get into business. I love cars, but at that point in time, it was almost like what do you dare to dream about? So I did want to get into cars. My grandparents actually drove GM cars that's all I ever knew. So I think it was maybe written in the stars that I ended up going to Liverpool, that it was I did it because I wanted that 1 year as an intern in a business, and it was just great that in that locality that the GM was based there, and I was able to get that role. And once I got into that, whilst I had other opportunities in telecoms and other things, once you get the opportunity to be in the auto business, there's really only one choice. So yeah, it was fantastic to get in.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, and I had to imagine that at some stage running Vauxhall, which for most North American listeners would not be on the tip of their tongue, but is a national institution in England. I mean, it is the Vauxhall name is known so well. And then you rise at this point, and now you're running the brand. That had to be enormously satisfying for you.
Yeah, it was it was an incredibly proud moment to have gone in as an intern and worked in the Ellesmere Port plant to quite a few years later, but to become chairman and managing director of Vauxhall. I mean, this is a company, to your point, that dates back to 1903.
Right.
It was one of the pioneers of the auto industry. It was one of the pioneers of racing as well. I mean, initially it was competing with the likes of Bentley and all these type of vehicles in a lot of the vehicle trials. It got bought in 1925-26 period by General Motors, which I still think is quite incredible when you think back that GM was able to go out and acquire these additional brands in other continents with the lack of communications capabilities, but it did. So yeah, through my whole life, it was part of General Motors, and it became a mainstream brand. It was regularly competing for number one, number two in the market. So to have started with my parents and grandparents driving GM vehicles, to being an intern, to coming back later on and running the business was phenomenal. And at the time, it was the fourth biggest market of sale for General Motors anywhere in the world. So as I say, it's significant, but it's a fabulous opportunity to run a country, to run a General Motors business in a country, because you are the person who's frontline dealing with the trade unions, you're dealing with the government, the prime ministers, the premiers of those countries as well as having to keep the business going. So it's a real privileged position and something that I absolutely love doing.
Well, and a rare journey now to where you are and all of the twists and turns. How has that path maybe shaped your leadership philosophy in a period of massive industry change?
Yeah, I think so all that background, all that ability to deal with complexity, it's just amazing how much you can learn. Going from the UK, which probably had literally the best sales data anywhere in the world because it was all consolidated by the government. So for example, every single day you knew how many vehicles you were selling, you knew how many vehicles your competitors were selling, you knew it down to a zip code level, you knew it down to 25 different customer types, and you literally got that every morning. So to go from that to work in Southeast Europe, which was at the time maybe 10, 15 years out of communism, very limited data provision, just required whole new skills to be developed to say, oh, how do you manage a business with very limited data? And then, there's a lot of countries that were in between on that. So different cultures, different data. And then coming to the US, again, very different business, huge scale, but I'm pleased to say in some ways more simple than, say, Europe, because there was more diversity there. But of course, we've still got all the state issues. So we do have different franchise laws within the states. And again, that is a constant challenge. So, by no means is it simple here. But within all of that, it really boils down to seek first to understand the business, understand the drivers, get great people around you, empower those people, and give real clear direction on what are the priorities for the business. I think if everybody knows and understands what we're here to achieve, and you narrow that down and you make it real simple, get good people, empower them, then the job of a leader can get easy real quickly, and you just steer the ship a little bit. And I've seen that work across all those markets with all those different elements within it, and it's driven a lot of success.
So now you look at where your purview is a culturally different one, as you just pointed out. Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, trucks and SUVs, the emotional and financial backbone of the company, of the country to some extent. Where are the biggest growth opportunities across those brands?
Yeah, and again, all of those brands play a critical part in what makes up General Motors. Chevrolet, mainstream brand, really is the heartbeat of America, as we like to say. It's culturally just so relevant, as are all our brands, but Chevrolet is kind of omnipresent across US culture and society. It's our volume driver. Again, it's got the broadest portfolio. It is a full line manufacturer, everything from small affordable vehicles, combustion engine vehicles, to full-size utilities, everything in between, and then really not dissimilar lineup on the electric vehicle side as well. I mentioned the under $30,000 Bolt, which is just being introduced in the market now, through to Equinox, and then right through to the Silverado electric vehicle pickup trucks. And that made us a strong number 2 in the electric vehicle market last year, behind Tesla, who are still quite a dominant player there. On the combustion engine side, though, again, we just enjoy great success. Again, the more affordable end of the range, something that we're very conscious is critical in this marketplace. We sold over 700,000 vehicles below $30,000 last year, and that is in the affordable element of the market. And they were predominantly our small SUV vehicles, so the Chevrolet Trax, the Trailblazer, and then the Buick Envista and Encore GX. So really market leading, super successful there. We actually get around 40% of that SUV, that small SUV affordable segment, which is a real strength for us. But then you go through to the pickup trucks, and this is another super strength for us. We led in the pickup truck market between Chevrolet and GMC. We do that year after year after year. Again, well over 40% of the pickup segments as well. And then right at the top end of the market, those full-size SUVs. So on the Chevrolet side, the Suburban, the Tahoe; on the GMC side, the Yukons, and then of course the Escalades on the Cadillac side. And again, we have over 60% of that segment. So, really the way I look at it is that we've been able to produce an amazing suite and portfolio of vehicles, which can really win at the affordability end, the absolute core of America, which is the pickup truck segment, and then really at this top end as well, the full-size utilities. So again, just incredible success there. I think as we look forward this year, again, I mentioned the Bolt. We're going to be really driving the portfolio we've had, and then we'll be preparing to launch our next generation of full-size pickup trucks really at the end of this year into next year. So again, very excited about that as well. Just
It's
moving
always
on to GMC, at its all-time record, this is over a 100-year brand. It had its best year in history last year. Buick, again, over a 100-year brand, but was one of the fastest growing brands in the industry. And Cadillac, again, as it moved more into electric vehicles, still had its best year since 2007. So just incredible success across all of those brands.
Yeah, you mentioned the full-size truck launch of the next generation. I always remember that being such a pivotal moment for General Motors, frankly, for any automaker, but for GM especially, just because of what's riding on that. What is also so pivotal is Cadillac's entry into Formula One. And we had Dan Taurus on the program last fall to talk about the 11th team on the grid for the 26th season, which starts now. It is one of the boldest brand moves in years. I know for you personally, it's also highly interesting and I know a point of satisfaction for the entire General Motors team. How do you see that translating into brand energy and maybe consumer awareness across North America? And of course, we just saw Cadillac's commercial on the Super Bowl too.
Yeah, as you say, it's a just unbelievably exciting point in the brand's history and in General Motors motorsport history, which is an unbelievably successful history, as you well know. Personally, since coming to the US, I've got into NASCAR, got into IndyCar, been to the Daytona 24-hour race recently as well, and these are all amazing things. And as I say, we've had such success across all of those types of racing. But coming from the UK, before I came here, I was living basically in the heart of what is F1 country, right near Silverstone. It's where nearly all the teams are based. So it's just something I grew up with. So the opportunity now for General Motors to get involved with our Cadillac brand is personally just really, really exciting. We're very conscious that F1 is not easy. This is the absolute pinnacle of the sport, and the sheer fact that we've put a car together that will be on the grid in a very short period of time now is an amazing feat in itself. And clearly we're going to have to work ourselves through the field as we go forward. This is really hard racing and absolutely the pinnacle of technology, as I've just said. But of course we didn't just do this to prove ourselves on the track. We did it because it's a great next step for Cadillac. I mentioned their best year since 2007. We're number one in terms of the luxury EV marketplace. We have over 20% of that marketplace with again amazing vehicles from entry-level SUVs to two-row and three-row SUVs, and again the Escalade. So we've got an amazing portfolio of vehicles there. And it was really time to say, okay, how do we take Cadillac to the next level, not just in North America, but on a global stage as well. And Formula One is, maybe along with World Cup soccer, is probably the most global sport that is out there with fans all around the world. But critically for me and critically for General Motors, here in North America, again, very, very popular in Mexico, always has been. Having selected Checo Perez as our driver is going to just make Cadillac probably the favorite team on the grid over there. Canada, of course, rich history of Formula One there as well. And now 3 races across the US as well. So an increasing amount of fans in the US. Every time we've made an announcement, whether it be drivers, whether it be the livery of the vehicles, which was revealed during Super Bowl, as you mentioned, the spike that you see in terms of website visits, awareness, even through to consideration is quite remarkable. And again, it just shows the power of F1. Again, here in North America, where it is still growing, there's no doubt about it. It's got a long way to grow, but it's at a high level already. And really we can turn that consideration, that imagery that it creates around the vehicles into sales. We've invested a whole lot of money into our V-Series products. So this is our racing line products across the Cadillacs. We've got them across our combustion engine vehicles and our EV vehicles. They're absolutely outstanding. And yeah, that will be a core part of the link between Cadillac and F1 as well. So we really think this is going to take Cadillac to whole new levels, not in terms of just awareness, but also in terms of whether people see Cadillac as a brand for them, and then into consideration and then into purchase as well.
Yeah, and also technology transfer at some stage. I mean, great brands through the years have used the Formula One experience to make the cars that are on the streets for the average individual, the average buyer, much more technologically advanced. So is it technology transfer, marketing integration, brand aspiration? Those would be sort of performance, credibility, and brand all in the same breath?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. Again, we've seen that technology transfer and really harnessed it across all of the other race series that I've talked about. And again, we've seen many applications of that. We expect to see that in Formula One as well. But absolutely, as you say, we think this will elevate the brand to a different level. Again, when you think who's on the grid this year, it is all of these global premium or luxury brands. Audi are coming into the Formula One, Cadillac are coming into Formula One. We've already got Mercedes, obviously. So again, we're really in the right place to be showing ourselves in this form of racing. So it will elevate the Cadillac brand. It will increase the awareness, and it will, we believe, result in more sales.
You couldn't come at a better time in terms of timing and relevance.
Yeah, I think we've seen F1 across North America grow year after year after year. I think if you go back 10 years, the progress that it's made and the awareness across the States with the 3 races now has been huge. The television program has obviously added a lot to that fan base and the awareness level there. But it's also great timing as well, because when the rules change, and the rules do change for this forthcoming season, so again, different propulsion systems, different aero, it really kind of levels the field a little bit. So let's see how we go. We can't wait to get on the grid in Melbourne.
A few more topics here. We hear a lot about software-defined vehicles, connected ecosystems. What does that mean for the everyday customer over the next few years? Are customers going to notice the benefits immediately or gradually? And maybe related, Duncan, how does that change the ownership experience?
Yeah, well, I think General Motors really has been a pioneer in this space. You go back 25 years to the introduction of OnStar, which gave people amazing reassurance in terms of crash response, but it did a lot more than that. I remember it did turn-by-turn navigation before navigation systems were an everyday part of the vehicle, or before you could get it on your mobile phone. And this has really progressed rapidly into what we've got today, where we've got Wi-Fi in the vehicles as well. We've got Google Maps in the vehicle. You have an app on your phone where you can remote start the vehicle in either cold weather, like where I am now in Detroit, so the car's warm when you get in, or even hot weather to cool it down if you're in hot climates. So these are things that are positively impacting customers' experience right now. Where this is going to go into the future is autonomous, and again, we talk about autonomous as part of that connected service because it does require that connectivity in the vehicle. Super Cruise is a hands-free driving system. It's been award-winning and largely acknowledged as the best in industry. We've got more active users on the road of our autonomous system than any of our competitors. It's 600,000 at the end of last year. It'll be 1 million at the end of this year. And cumulatively, even now, we've driven 800 million miles in terms of Super Cruise. So again, there's a lot of people using this very, very actively, and it just transforms the journey. Anyone who's used it will say it's just so relaxing. You get to your destination just so much more relaxed than had you actually been at the wheel. And Super Cruise will get better and better. It's hands-free at the moment. It will develop into hands-free and eyes-free, so a different experience, even more relaxing and enabling you to either be more productive on the journey or even more relaxed when you get there. And again, this will form, again, another key part of our connected strategy. One thing that we're really excited about is that we see when we sell a vehicle to a second owner, so a used vehicle, that 50% of people who buy that second vehicle, if it's enabled with Super Cruise, are subscribing to it. So 1 in 2 saying, yeah, I'd love that feature. Oftentimes it's why they buy that used vehicle as well. So again, it's just creating this whole ecosystem and enabling us to have great long-lasting relationships with our customers beyond that first owner, but into the second owner and beyond. And again, this capability enables you to upgrade the vehicle. So something that you could never say going back a decade, that the vehicle can get better with time, but now with over-the-air updates, with other technology, vehicles can literally improve through the ownership cycle, the ownership journey a customer has. So it's a core part of our business. It's one that will rapidly develop. As I say, I think customers see the benefits and use the benefits today. It's only going to grow into the future. It's going to create closer relationships with the customer, and it's also going to enable us to have those relationships with second owners, third owners, long into the future as well. So yeah, just another example of why this is a great business, why General Motors has got great brands, great company, because it keeps evolving what that ownership experience means to those users.
A prominent dealer friend of mine in the United States described the dealership experience as being a digital experience now going forward, not necessarily one of selling cars through TV commercials and blown up gorillas on the front of dealership lawns. Those were his words. Is the vehicle becoming more of a long-term digital platform in a way?
It certainly is, yeah. I mean, first of all, I think in terms of retailing, yeah, we've adopted a digital-first strategy really for many years now. And again, there may still be a place for the inflated gorilla outside the showroom from time to time. We all miss those. But yeah, it's so much more sophisticated than that now. Very, very targeted marketing. Even when you see TV commercials, it's typically going to be really targeted to a group of buyers, so less and less absolute mainstream broadcast and more absolute targeted broadcast. So the technology around that has changed massively, and again, we work very closely with our dealer partners to ensure we're all adopting the absolute best technology and synergizing together in how we put our messages forward. In terms of that relationship and that digital platform for consumers, yeah, it really goes and speaks to what I was saying about the vehicle getting better as it goes through the life cycle. Again, we're now downloading apps onto vehicles. So again, you can have that embedded app experience, whether it be Apple Music, whether it be some of the streaming platforms, the broadcast platforms, really a whole blend of things, which is really turning the vehicle into an entertainment space as well as being something that can get you from A to B. So again, we'll see more of that going forward. You'll see more additions of things like screens on the passenger side of the vehicle, as well as the center screen or the driver screens. Again, so the passenger can enjoy that entertainment capability that now our vehicles are beginning to provide. So yeah, this is going to just continue to develop. We've created that platform, and again, all the ideas and all the use cases will come into the vehicle, making it, again, an even better ownership experience.
Let's end on this, if you don't mind. Spend a few minutes talking about this. I've not been in one yet, and hoping that one arrives in my driveway at some point, but the 26 Corvette ZR1. I mean, for those who haven't had the experience, we are reading about 1,250 horsepower. We are reading about what you get when you combine a ZR1 with an E-Ray, a little touch of E-Ray. The first ever all-wheel drive ZR1 at the top of the C8 lineup. And it is, I mean, it can challenge hypercars, Duncan. The competition now includes vehicles like the SF90 and, Lamborghinis. I mean, what does that do to a brand like Chevrolet?
Well, I think it does amazing things for the Chevrolet brand. It does amazing things for General Motors, and it does amazing things for Corvette, which is a sub-brand as well, all on its own. But I was personally lucky enough to be driving the ZR1X on a beautiful October day up to northern Michigan for a few hours. Believe it or not, with the roof down in October, it was such a nice day. And that vehicle is, as you say, it's almost like nothing you've ever driven before. The absolute power is unbelievable. The performance is unbelievable. The responsiveness, similarly, but also a really great everyday vehicle. I know some of the leadership here have been driving them all winter on winter tires, for example, because of that all-wheel drive capability that you mentioned. But in terms of the actual supercar performance, something that Corvette has never done before, it's really just changing the whole lens. But something that we're really proud of is that we will always keep that Corvette formula, the ingredients, which again goes back to affordability. And it may sound a little odd talking about affordability in a supercar range, but when you compare the performance of the Corvette, really across all of its forms, but the ZR1X, to equivalent vehicles, you know, it is unbelievable value for money. So that's something that we hold very true to, that the ingredients of what makes a Corvette a Corvette. But as you say, it casts a halo over everything Corvette, everything Chevrolet, and quite honestly, everything General Motors. It just shows what we're capable of as a company. Amazing engineers, amazing manufacturing capability, producing amazing vehicles.
Yeah, it checks all the boxes of that. The ZR1X is something to definitely appreciate in all of its raw yet refined glory. What's the clearest pathway forward for GM in North America over the next decade? Is it trucks? Is it SUVs? Is it luxury? Is it commercial? Or is it new mobility? Or is it all of it?
It's going to be a lot of all of that, for sure. Again, I mentioned earlier the investments we're making into some of our core products, whether it be those combustion engines that we're investing heavily in, whether it's the core segments that we're expanding our capacity in. Again, the best EV portfolio in the industry across all of our brands, from mainstream Chevrolet to premium GMC to luxury in Cadillac. And again, we're already planning on the future of our battery technology in electric vehicles as well. We do still see that as the end game. We think that's where the industry's going, and so we're going to continue pursuing that as well. They're just amazing vehicles. We know that when somebody buys an EV, a very, very high percentage, maybe 80%, will buy another EV afterwards, which is a lot higher than the combustion engine equivalent. So yeah, we'll certainly be looking to win in combustion space, in electric space, and those key segments remain the key segments. I talked about affordability, where we're pretty dominant in that small SUV. Trucks, where we've been the market leaders for many years across GMC and Chevrolet, and then those full-size utilities. But again, the beauty of General Motors is they're almost like the pillars of our portfolio, but we kind of do everything in between as well, even the ZR1X that you just mentioned. So that is our success formula. That is something we'll be doing more of over the next 5 and 10 years. We will be investing into new products, new technologies. We will be growing our connected services, our software-enabled vehicle as well, and that's really going to keep us at the forefront and the leadership position in this industry.
Yeah, there's many things that would be hard to consider while working at Vauxhall now, I'm sure. The final thing, I say this as a Canadian, but who are you pulling for this summer as probably your most favorite sport hits the North American shores? Is it England, or is it the United States, or is it Canada, Duncan? Or is it all of them?
I think, I hope to have the opportunity where I can support all 3 teams, and Mexico, of course.
Mexico.
And not have to choose between them. You know, let's see how the draw pans out. So I'm going to just be very political on that one.
That's good.
I want them all to be successful, but yeah, England probably have the best chance out of the 4 right now.
Yeah, agreed. Well, Well, we made it through an entire interview without talking much about tariffs, so that's a credit to both of us. We know that you're dealing with it, but I know you have a lot of other fun things on your plate. So thank you so much for the time. Thanks for being on the program. Good to be back with you again.
Great to see you.
Great.
See you soon.
Thank you, Duncan. That's episode 68 of Full Throttle. A special thanks to my guest, GM's Duncan Aldred. Thank you for listening. And for a library of these episodes with industry leaders, go to thepresidiogroup.com. You can also find the library of these shows on the Presidio Group's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jason Stein. We'll talk to you again next time.